Good evening, and welcome to Crossroads, the show where we discuss the big questions of our time. Tonight, we're exploring a fascinating topic. Is it better to live in the past or the future? It's a question about what we value most as human beings. Do we find more comfort in the traditions and simplicity of the past, or do we find more hope in the progress and innovation of the future? To help us explore this, we have two guests with very different views. First, we have Leo, a writer and historian, who believes that we've lost something important in our rush to modernize. He argues that the past offers valuable lessons for a happier life. Welcome, Leo. On the other side, we have Chloe, a technology analyst and futurist. She's excited about the possibilities that tomorrow holds and believes that science and new ideas will solve our biggest problems. Welcome to the show, Chloe. We'll start with opening statements from each of our guests. After that, we'll have a discussion, and finally, closing remarks. Let's begin. Leo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here. When I say it's better to live in the past, I'm not talking about a specific year or decade. I'm talking about a way of life that was slower, simpler, and, I believe, more meaningful. Think about it. Before smartphones and the constant noise of the internet, people were more connected to each other in a real, tangible way. Communities were stronger because people had to rely on one another. Families ate dinner together and talked, without the distraction of screens on the table. Children played outside in nature, building forts and using their imagination, not just following instructions on a screen. Life was less about being constantly busy and more about being present in the moment. We also had a stronger connection to the physical world around us. People understood where their food came from. They often grew it themselves. They repaired things when they were broken, instead of just throwing them away and buying new ones. This created a sense of skill, pride, and independence that many of us have lost today. Of course, I understand that life in the past was not perfect. It was often physically harder and there were many challenges, but there was a different kind of happiness. It was a quiet happiness that came from simple, real things. A good conversation with a neighbor, a long walk in the woods, or the deep satisfaction of a day's hard work. In our modern world, we're flooded with information and endless choices, but I think we're more stressed and lonelier than ever before. We search for happiness in the next phone notification or the next online purchase, but it's a happiness that doesn't last. I believe the past reminds us that true, lasting happiness comes from real connections with people and the world, not from technology.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Leo, for your thoughts. I understand the appeal of what you're describing, but I have a very different perspective. For me, looking back at the past is like reading a book that's already finished. We know the ending. The future, however, is a book that we're all writing together, right now. It's full of hope, possibility, and exciting new chapters. Let's be honest and clear about the past. For many people, it was a very difficult and unfair place. Women, minorities, and people with disabilities had far fewer rights and opportunities. Their stories were often ignored. Medical care was basic. A simple infection, something we cure easily today with antibiotics, could be a death sentence. We lived shorter, often more painful lives. I don't think we should romanticize that reality. The future, on the other hand, is about progress. It's about moving forward. Technology is not our enemy. It's a powerful tool that can help us build a better, fairer, and healthier world. Think about medicine. In the future, we might cure diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. We could live not just longer, but with a much higher quality of life. Think about energy. We're developing clean energy sources, like solar and wind power, that can stop climate change and protect our planet for generations to come. And what about connection? I believe technology can bring us closer together in ways the past never could. I can have a face-to-face conversation with my family on the other side of the world with video calls. I can connect with people from different cultures and learn from them directly through the internet. The future offers us opportunities to be healthier, more connected, and more creative than ever before. It's where we can solve the problems of today, not escape from them by looking backwards. That's why I truly believe the best is yet to come.
Thank you both for those strong and clear opening statements. Leo, let me start the discussion with a question for you. Chloe mentioned that the past was often unfair and dangerous, life expectancy was much lower, and basic healthcare was a luxury. How do you answer that? Is it fair to want a simpler life if it means giving up the medical progress that keeps us safe and healthy?
That's a very important question, Sarah, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying we should go back to a time before modern medicine, or abandon scientific progress entirely. My concern is that we've become too dependent on technology to solve all our problems, and we've lost our balance. We focus so much on extending the length of life, but what about the quality of that life? People are living longer, yes, but they're also reporting higher levels of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Maybe the past can teach us how to live a more balanced life. We can have modern medicine, but we can also have stronger communities, more time in nature, and more quiet moments. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about finding a better, healthier balance that we've lost.
Chloe, what do you think about that idea of balance? Leo argues that our future-focused world is making us lonely and stressed. So what is the future's answer to this problem of human connection?
I think that's a misunderstanding of what technology is. Technology is just a tool, and we, the users, decide how to use it. For every person who feels lonely scrolling through social media, there's another person who's found a supportive community online that they could never have found in their small town. Think about people with rare hobbies, or patients with a rare disease, or people from marginalized groups. The internet allows them to connect with others who understand them, no matter where they are in the world. The future is not about replacing real connection with digital connection. It's about adding new and different ways to connect. The problem is not the technology itself. It's about how we, as a society, learn to use these new tools in healthy ways. And that's a learning process.
But are we learning? It doesn't feel like it. We see rising rates of depression and anxiety, especially in young people who've grown up being always online. In the past, you learned social skills by talking to people face to face. You learn to read their expressions, their body language, and understand their feelings in a deep way. Now we often communicate with short texts and emojis. It's faster, yes, but it's not deeper. Something important is lost.
I agree that this transition period can be difficult, and that we're facing new challenges, but the future also offers the solutions to these problems. We're already creating virtual reality spaces where people can meet and interact in very realistic ways, even if they're thousands of miles apart. We're also developing artificial intelligence that can act as a companion for elderly people who feel isolated, or as a tool to help people manage their mental health. The future is about solving problems, including the new problems that technology sometimes creates. We don't run back to the past. We must innovate our way forward. The past was static, but the future is dynamic. It learns, it adapts, and it improves.
Let's talk about work and purpose. Leo, in the past, many people had a clear trade or a craft. They were carpenters, farmers, or bakers. In the future that Chloe describes, with advanced AI and automation, what happens to human purpose when machines can do most of the jobs?
That's one of my biggest fears about the future. Work is not just about money. It's about dignity and having a sense of purpose. When you build a chair with your own hands or grow food from the earth, there's a deep satisfaction in that. You see the direct result of your effort. When we automate everything, we risk devaluing human skill. We become passive consumers, not active creators. What will people do all day? What will give their lives meaning if their work is no longer needed? This is a serious danger to our well-being.
I see a much more optimistic picture, Leo. Automation doesn't have to be a threat. It can be a gift. Yes, it'll handle many of the boring, repetitive, and dangerous jobs that people currently do. And I think that's a good thing. This freedom from repetitive labor will give us more time for the things that make us truly human. Creativity, learning, building relationships, and exploring the world. Imagine a future where you have the time to write a novel, learn a new language, or volunteer in your community because you don't have to work 40 hours a week at a boring job. It's not an end to purpose, but an evolution of it. Our purpose will shift from survival to personal and collective growth.
That sounds like a nice dream, Chloe, but the reality is that people need structure. They need to feel useful. The simple structure of a working day and the feeling of being needed by society is important. I worry we'll be a future full of lonely people, with too much free time and no direction.
But the direction will come from within, from education, from art, from science. It's a higher form of purpose.
A final question on the environment. Chloe, modern technology has caused many of our current environmental problems, from pollution to climate change. Why should we trust more technology to fix the problems it created? And Leo, what can the past teach us about living in a more sustainable way?
The past teaches us the most important lesson: to live with less. Past lifestyles were, by necessity, more sustainable. People didn't consume endlessly. They bought things to last a lifetime. They wasted very little because everything had value. They had a closer relationship with the seasons and with nature. They understood that natural resources were limited. Our modern world has forgotten this. The solution is not more complex technology, but a simpler life, with more respect for our planet.
I agree that we must respect our planet, but looking back is not a solution for a global population of 8 billion people. Yes, our early industrial technology created terrible pollution because it was inefficient, and we didn't understand the consequences. But the future of technology is green technology. It's about innovation. We're developing fusion energy, which could provide nearly limitless clean power. We're creating new ways to recycle materials perfectly and to clean our oceans. We need global cooperation and advanced science to solve a global problem like climate change. We cannot go back. We must use our intelligence and our best future technologies to invent a sustainable way forward.
In the end, this is a fundamental choice between speed and meaning. The future that Chloe describes is fast, efficient, and full of amazing technology, but it feels cold to me. It feels like a world of data, screens, and artificial experiences. I believe we are human beings, not machines. We need slowness. We need nature. We need to feel the sun on our skin and have real, uninterrupted conversations with the people we love. The past is not a perfect place, but it holds a mirror up to our modern lives, and it asks us a critical question. In your hurry to move forward, what have you lost? My argument is that we've lost a sense of peace. We've lost a deep connection to ourselves and our communities. For a happier, more meaningful life, we should not look for more technology or more progress. We should look back at the simple, timeless truths that people understood for centuries.
I believe that human potential is the most incredible and powerful force in the universe. The future is the only place where that potential can continue to grow. To choose the past is to say that our best days are behind us. It's to say that we've learned all we can learn. I simply don't believe that's true. I look at the serious problems in the world, disease, poverty, climate change, and I see challenges that we can and will overcome with new ideas and new tools. The future is not about losing our humanity. It's about expanding it. We'll have more time to learn, to create art, and to explore our world and even the stars. We'll live longer, healthier lives, with more opportunities to spend quality time with the people we love, free from many of the worries of today. The future is not cold. It's bright with the promise of a better, kinder, and more intelligent world for everyone. We should walk towards it with courage and optimism, not look back with fear.
And that's all the time we have for tonight. My sincere thanks to both Leo and Chloe for a wonderful and thought-provoking debate. You've certainly given all of us a lot to think about, whether you find your comfort in the lessons of the past, or your hope in the promises of the future. The conversation is always worth having. Good night, everyone.